Hello, welcome to another UTS Startups Confessions. Okay, we have one of my favorite startups. I kind of want to say my favorite ever startup because it's so rare to find something that is this hard with this nice a bunch of people behind it that actually goes on for now 6 years and achieves the level of success that you're achieving now. So it's a wonderful story. Make sure you stay for this. In 10 seconds though, what is Tekuma?
Tekuma is a technology hardware startup that's improving the ways humans interact with technology.
No, what is it actually? Feel free to use examples.
What we've developed is a 6 degrees of freedom control orb that allows you to control any drone, robot, or other device entirely with 2 fingers, freeing up the other hand for peripheral control or other devices.
Okay, so when I'm flying my drone around with both hands and like a chump, I basically don't need to with that, is that?
Here you only need 2 fingers to maneuver the robot, and then you've got your other fingers and other hand to maneuver peripherals like robotic arms, cameras, radars, or whatever, anything else you're needing to control.
Okay, cool. So take me back. Firstly, who were you before Tekuma?
Back in early 2016, I was working full-time for the Black Dog Institute as a digital content creator, running an online positive psychology initiative, teaching teenagers gratitude, mindfulness, resilience, about their strengths, very transferable skills to lasting as a startup founder these days. And I was also studying my MBA part-time here at UTS.
Okay.
And I was studying engineering at my university, and I was also at that university being an academic at the same time. I did that for about 5 years before Tekuma. And also while I was studying engineering full-time and working as an academic part-time, I had 2 cafe jobs as well on top of that.
Okay, so a lot going on. Your first memories of this as an idea?
Yeah, so I was flying a drone out in the Australian bushland, and I decided to try and fly the drone and control the camera at the same time. And it became quite apparent how ignorant that was. And it got me wondering, look, there's got to be a better way. And so as part of my engineering thesis, I decided to explore the comparison between the a Mac 3D CAD mouse and the conventional controls. And it showed that it was easier to use. So my lecturers at the time said, hey, you should commercialize this. And my response was, okay, how? I'm an engineer, I don't know how to do this. And their response was the same, well, we don't know. So there was actually this program here at UTS called Hatchery Plus. And Annette said, if we get into it, she'll quit her job. And I guess you can say the rest is history.
Yeah.
Okay. Hatchery supported some wonderful companies and I think contributed to some wonderful companies. I don't think you're alone in that. Talk me through what that looked like. So you come in with an idea. Did you know how you were actually going to do it?
So Michael had built a proof of concept in 2015. He had tested it against the standard 2 joystick interface, received a best thesis in control systems there, but the academics had no idea how he should commercialize, and we thought we would be a part of this program here at Hatchery and learn how we could commercialize this technology. We were pretty naive. We thought we could do a Kickstarter in 6 months and it'll be out on market in 10 and it'll be out in the field by the end of the year type thing. That's what we thought.
Yeah, and also in hindsight, I had no idea what it was going to look like, what it could be, how I would do it. So reflecting on that was really sort of just very innocent.
I came on board knowing that there would be other industries this could play into other than just aerial cinematography control, as it were, which was the problem that Michael started with, which is why I wanted to come on board and help Michael make it happen. But what we didn't know is how we were going to get there, what the first to market was, what exact product market fit would look like, and how the first hardware would be built, which we built the first hardware during that program, and on demo day we demonstrated the first hardware and filed our patents that day.
Okay. Hang on, so you're doing patents on demo day?
Yes.
They were filed on demo day.
Okay.
Officially.
So how did you kind of keep the enthusiasm up when you can't talk necessarily about how you're doing what you're doing?
Lots and lots of caffeine. No, well,
You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
hard to kind of put work in before something is making money.
We
And-
had proof of concepts that didn't have the hardware, so we could show what our solution to the problem was without showing what the solution to the problem was, like having the theory there of like using one hand, spatially correlating, using the original technology of the CAD mouse and things like that to show what we could do, and then having the testing of people and getting the feedback from people, finding out what the problem was, because it's really important to find out what the problem is before you go in to make the solution.
but also that event at the Spark Festival when we were doing in the very early days of Tekuma, we were flying a drone around in Spark Festival when you could do that, and we had this one student come up with his right hand in a brace, and he was in a wheelchair, and he only had a bit of control in his left hand, and I even get emotional still talking about it now, just thinking of him rolling up. All of the students just saying like, hey, you have fun, you do what you want to do. And he was flying a drone for the first time. He'd never been able to play Xbox. And he was able to control the aircraft and fly, and seeing that joy in his face. Like on the darkest days you think about that, and it's like, yeah, okay, well,
If our
keep pushing.
technology can do that, then we should keep at
Yeah.
it and make sure it gets out there.
Okay. Would you say those kind of events played a big part in kind of customer engagement, partner engagement for you?
Definitely from the very beginning, we earned about $40,000 from prize money competitions, mostly here at UTS, other university competitions, as well as participating in Spark Festival events, allowing us to engage with users, get that feedback. We had 3-year-olds to 83-year-olds try out our controller and show us they could do bank turns within 30 seconds with our device. So
Okay.
that was really cool.
Okay, cool. So sounds like you had a lot of engagement with different people around Australia. Australia spends how much on defence each year?
That is a very good question.
A large number. How well have you gone with Australian defence in terms of pitching this to them or other people in Australia?
I mean, in early 2018, we saw the potential for defence applications. We were looking into the Techstars programs in Adelaide, but that didn't happen. But we were convinced by the Venture Space Catalyst program to move to South Australia and try it out for a few months and see what we could do in the defence and space industry there. We really liked it there, but then went and joined the landing pad in San Francisco with Austrade and Cyro with their dual use program to explore applications with US defence as well as commercial. And it was after that program we were like, we could move back to Adelaide. Adelaide's a nice place to live, but also we can afford to live there and really extend our runway, which as a hardware company, bootstrapped, it's really important to extend your runway, and living in Sydney is quite expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense. And with that kind of support network around Adelaide, that makes a lot of sense as well with the building kind of enthusiasm there. But I've heard people say that if you want to sell to defence in Australia, it helps to do something overseas and then sell it back to Australia afterwards. Is that the kind of pathway that you follow?
So what we've actually gone and done with the help of Austrade, they told us about an open solicitation, open to foreigners, with the US Department of Defence, Defence Innovation Unit, for a universal soldier robotic controller. So we applied for that early last year, and we got accepted for interview, did a 2-hour interview in the middle of the night where we had been given 2 weeks notice to send them working prototypes. We sent those prototypes over within the week, and they tested them and played with them and asked us many questions about them during that interview. And then after that interview, they said, you've got 10 business days to make a statement of work and a budget.
And a contract.
And we want you to make a whole
And
controller.
If you can imagine like the stereotypes in movies where you they have that defense conversation, you've got 40 people with no faces and one person just asking questions. Imagine that. And it's also 2 a.m. in the morning and you're just sitting there going like, I thought this was going to be with 3 people. Who are all of these unknown people, unnamed and unknown people?
I thought we were just pitching for 10 minutes. Like,
And it ended up being a full-on 2-hour conversation and very technical detail about, so why should we invest in you essentially? Why should we buy your product? It was very intimidating.
It sounds like you found your people though.
we definitely found champions
Yeah.
through that, and people, even beforehand here at UTS and at Austrade and so many other programs we've been a part of, champions who supported us along the way and told enough people about us that we then got introduced to more people along the way.
But after kind of 4 years of knocking on every single door that you can find around the place, to then have this as validation and what that has enabled you to do now, sounds like a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where you're sort of pinching yourself, thinking like, we're literally in our garage building these products for the US Department of Defense.
Directly.
Like it is, yeah, I see someone laughing in the back there. Yeah, that's my reaction too. Like, how did we get here? It doesn't make any sense.
But that's the thing. Why should it not make sense?
Yeah,
we've got smart people in Australia. We can come up with this kind of stuff. We can manufacture it in Australia. I'm sure the new government would like to see more things manufactured in Australia as well, and I know you've been dealing with them. It should be a more normal thing, but I think we need examples like you that can say, yeah, a lot of people gave us a lot of kind of different advice of different levels of quality and different feedback that was probably not that helpful, but we persisted and we got to where we needed to be, and we now know this is what people need, and we're now developing this further, manufacturing it, and we have the people ready to buy it. Like that's an example that other people can look at and say, yes, we can do that as well.
And definitely we have heard from Austrade that the American Defence Innovation Unit is keener to work with Australians since working with us and have more solicitations open, particularly to Australians since working with us. So we're excited that that pathway can be carved and make that lower those barriers to entry.
Beautiful. Okay, so you're now 6 years in?
Yes.
Yep. What does Tekuma look like from here?
Well, currently we're still in the garage. We do have multiple people working with us remotely, as well as many contractors involved in helping us build this product and bring it out into the field. What we would really like to do is bring more of those people in-house, know that we can grow the team and grow our applications and partners. We'd really like to grow partners so that we can apply this to more industries outside of defence and more applications.
Okay, so if I was part of a particular industry and I wanted wonderful control technology that was effectively being subsidized by US Department of Defense,
Yes.
That sounds like a good deal if I'm looking for this kind of thing.
Yes, if you're looking to take any of your 2 to 3 joysticks and make it easier to fly, we would like to work with you to make a friendlier control system.
Like all the agricultural technology in Australia, all the manufacturing plants and other controllers that people are using, people with a disability that need this kind of thing, as you've mentioned. It seems like there's a huge number of applications out there. I want to pause there for a second though. This 6-year process, how has this changed you as people?
Other than the PTSD?
Yes.
It's definitely been a very enlightening experience in hardware. Especially when we first started, we thought it was going to, as Annette mentioned, it was going to be a 10-month process. We'll go to a Kickstarter. Obviously, that has not been the case. It's been a lot harder than that. But that also being said, it's getting a lot easier as well. Hardware has never, ironically, been so easy. The idea of 3D printers enabling you to rapidly iterate. This controller here is a prime example of that. That shape was developed over the course of a week. We printed something like 27 different models in the course of a week to test the ergonomics, to test the feel. This isn't even the final version, this is just the one we show around. But to do that through traditional means, you would have had to go to soft tooling. That takes a fortnight. You had to design it. You had to really just do a lot of work to then throw it out.
Money.
Yeah, like each prototype could cost you 50 to 60K, and now you can buy a 3D printer, a good, really good one, for $1,000. Or if you don't have that money, you can spend one on $100. Like that whole concept is just, from when we started, that didn't exist to now. It kind of blows my mind how quickly you can iterate. And now you can also buy PCBs for $5. Like customized PCBs. Again, when one of our mentors started in hardware, that would take months to do, and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands. And now you can do a full prototype cycle, $5 in a week, including shipping. Like that's just mind blowing. And it's, again, as ironic it is, harder is hard, but it's never been easier.
Okay. And probably something for people to understand out there that are thinking about working with the company or procuring from the company. Maybe they're not used to dealing with smaller companies, but that should become a more and more normal thing as technology gets better. Yeah.
I mean, one thing I think that is beneficial for working with a smaller business is they can be more agile, and that's something that the US DoD is actually recognizing, because the traditional model is government solicitates for a requirement, and that requirement doesn't actually have anyone below the brass or the higher ranks making that requirement. So they go to the big prime, who then clips 50% of the ticket, who then finds a subcontractor that can actually do the job.
Multiple
subcontractors, whereas the US DoD is actually like, hey, why do we need to pay these big companies? Let's just go directly to the companies and have them talk to the end user to actually solve the problem.
And solve it not to what the brass thought it should be, but to what the end user actually needed.
Yeah, so an actual problem and not one that got Chinese whispered into something that doesn't exist.
Okay, makes sense. Like I know that they've been wonderful at that kind of user validation and this pushing productively down that pathway. They sound wonderful to work with. If you could go back and tell yourself anything 6 years ago, what would it be?
I was always saying that if I went back and saw myself 6 years ago, I probably wouldn't tell myself anything, because I would have to be as naive I was then to want to keep doing it as I have now. And even along the way, believing that it could work, if I had known how long it would take, I probably wouldn't have gotten started. And the point is, you have to get started.
Yeah, and I have sort of two notes on that. One is, as an engineer, there are hurry up and waits, and sometimes you just got to hurry up and wait. Don't try and find things to do or to overexert yourself in those moments. But also, I want to kind of flip that, and looking back on how I've done things and what I've done, I wouldn't really change much because I learned a lot through that process. And those lessons were really ingrained in me because they were hard lessons, and I don't think I would have gotten the same level of benefit if some magical aura said, hey, here are the mistakes you're going to make, don't make them. Like, it's a learning process, you have to make them, and the mistakes really emphasize when they hit why you don't want to make those mistakes again.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Those are where the lessons happen.
And on that point, this process has really forced me to not get attached to any design. I will design a PCB, and if it doesn't work, I'm not going to be beholden to it. I'm going to throw it out and start again. Or the ergonomics don't work, I will throw it out and start again. Like, you can't be too precious, especially now again when things can be done so quickly. You can't get too precious in the work that you've done. Sometimes it's just better to start from scratch.
Nice. Do you think having the amount of persistence that you've had in a difficult area with the kind of technology challenges and everything else along the way has left you in a stronger position now?
Absolutely.
Like, who else is doing this? Like, is anyone else willing to put this much effort into creating a perfect control solution?
I think our customers appreciate that we put in the effort even when maybe they don't require us to put in any more effort. Or they're not prepared to pay us for any more effort.
Yeah, that's another kettle of fish. But yeah.
We want to produce the best technology to solve the problems. And that's what it always comes back to. You want to solve problems for users, and if you do that, that's where the value comes in.
And I also try to design things to be as abstract as possible. So in the case of the ball doesn't change. We can put that into any industry, and it should just be a drop-in solution. And I like to try and do that as much as possible, because why would you spend so much time on developing this piece of kit if you can't make it applicable across fields?
Okay. I can't wait to use one with my stuff. I'm not doing anything too complicated. I just like to play with cool stuff. And I like the idea of lots more people having this to enhance what they're doing and make us safer and make everything better around the place. I will say every Friday at 3:30 at UTS Startups at Central, we run these sessions. We turn off the camera now and we get into audience Q&A, and we get into the real kind of confessions-y part of this. I will say quickly, we've got the best pizza in Central. If you've tried the pizza yet?
Yes.
It is pretty good. It is the best pizza in the world. And it is thanks to Amazon Web Services, who send down wonderful people that we get to talk to as well. But that's every Friday at 3:30. Thank you very much, Amazon. Yes.
I just want to say one more thing, and this is going to sound very much like I'm shilling out, but I seriously, legitimately mean it. The first 2 years of our hardware startup was the hardest 2 years. The number of people that will tell you, no, you're worthless, why are you wasting your time on this product?
It's part of the program, okay? Relax.
I thought this was under contract. No, like it is at times incredibly demoralizing seeing all this work you put into something and to basically tell you you're worthless. And if it wasn't for the support that we got through Hatchery Plus and our UTS Startups, it would have been not just mentally but physically like beyond capable of being able to keep progressing forward because of the support, not just like from telling us that, hey, this is actually cool, but having space, having a community, it makes a difference, and I can't really.
We can't thank UTS.
No, I can't. Yeah.
And that's why we're still here.
What is UTS Startups if not people like yourself around other people like yourself, helping each other be more like that person and do amazing things like this. So thank you for being part of it and making that kind of thing possible for other people, including the people watching this at home and the people in the audience as well. Join me in thanking Tekuma. Bonus question.
Oh.
Married life as a startup.
I wouldn't want to do
that?
it with anyone else.
Yeah, it is. Oh. No, it's serious.
I don't think it's an option, really.
Well, not anymore, right? I'm glad you're still saying that after 2 years, because you never know.
Well, it's 10 years of us being together, 6 years of Tekuma, and 2 years of
being
marriage.
married.
Yeah.
And it's good because you do have that inherent trust of your, partner in this case, whether it be business or life. The one thing I will say though is at times it is hard to sort of separate business and relationship. So we have a hard time just being like, okay, the day is about us.
Or even just this hour.
This moment.
This moment is not about Tekuma. This moment is about us and what we want to do in the future.
So that is probably
well-being
the
is
hardest part.
important. Remembering your well-being, don't burn out.
Pros and
Think about
cons.
those resilience strengths.
Okay,
Yes.
so maybe good, maybe not. We'll leave it
There's
there.
pros and cons to everything.
I would still I would recommend it as long as, because they say like you shouldn't want to go into business unless you want to spend like an obscene amount of time with them. They say marry them, but you don't have to do that obviously. But
I think he took it too literally.
now I feel like I'm digging a hole now. I'm going to be quiet.
What we'll do, we'll turn off the camera, we'll go to audience Q&A and we'll get into the juicier questions from here, but come and join us any Friday from 3:30 at UTS Startups at Central. Another round of applause, please. Thanks very much, guys.